everybody, it's Dana and welcome to day one of the holiday card series for 2022. Today we're kicking it off with the My Monthly Hero release for November 2022, and we're all about tags. This kit is going to contain a 3x4 clear stamp set, ornament building fancy die set, 1 to 3 yards of ribbon, 6 sheets of acetate cut to 5x6. You're going to get the snowflake mix sequence and 6 pieces of white paper cut to 5.5 by 8.5. You guys, this kit is so beautiful for making cards, but we're going to make the ornaments. So let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead and I already die cut out my ornament shape, and I wanted to do some not so traditional colors for Christmas. So I'm going to do lemon drop, creamsicle, fruit punch, and taffy. Again, non-traditional colors here. Now I just did some regular ink blending here, and I am using my ink stand to hold my ink pads in place, but I just want to quickly talk to you guys while I just do this blending. Remember to reach outside your comfort zone when you're making holiday cards. All your holiday cards don't need to be in the traditional colors of Christmas, like reds and greens. As you can see here, I have a very bold color combination here, and I think that just makes your cards fun for the holidays. People are so used to seeing traditional colors that when they see a card that is non-traditional colors, it kind of, and I don't know, in my opinion, kind of lifts their spirits, makes them think that, I can kind of stretch my color palette a little bit more. And it doesn't always have to be bright colors for spring and summer. You can use those bright colors into your holiday as well. So I just want to give you guys that tip and just suggest that you stretch yourself on your color palettes. Now, remember last year, Christina and I did a color palette that is over on the right-hand side of my block. So you can still grab that as well. All right, I went ahead and I'm finishing up just adding that yellow to the bottom. And look how pretty this is. To me, it kind of looks like a sunset. So I'll go ahead and set my inks aside. Now I did use reactive inks for this, so I do know that this ink is going to react with water, but instead I decided to use the white iridescent shimmer spray because I wanted to add a little bit of shimmer to this without just having like the traditional watermarks. So I'm going to spritz a little bit on this. I'm not heavily doing it, but as you can see, the ink is already reacting. So I'm going to get a really pretty shimmer on this. I'm just going to dry that back just a little bit. I did not lose any of my shimmer by using that paper towel. And look how pretty this is. I am going to set it aside so I can start working on my snowbank. Now, for my snowbank, I did decide to die cut this out twice because I want to add a little bit of height to this snowbank. So I went ahead and just die cut this out just out of the Dove White cardstock from Hero Arts. And I'll go ahead and place that right on top. Now, all the products I'm using in today's video will be listed below, so you guys will have those for your reference and for your shopping needs. And I also wanted to add a little bit of glitter just to the top of the snowbank. Otherwise, if I wanted it to be solid with the glitter and shine on this, I would just go ahead and use the glitter paper from Hero Arts. So I do have my precision glue here, and I'm just going to take the nozzle of this glue and go right around the top of that snowbank. This is going to allow me to add some sparkly glitter to this. I'm not putting this on too heavy because I don't want it to take a long time to dry. And I am using a very, very micro fine glitter here. Now you could use chunky glitter. You can use maybe if you wanted to do like the, what is it called? The pearlized embossing powder and heat set this, that will be gorgeous as well. But I just decided to add just a little bit of sparkle and shine to this. So I'll just go ahead and tap that off. Make sure I have everything covered. And as you can see, I just have this really pretty little rim of that sparkle. Any extra glitter that I have on here, I'm just going to clean up with a dry paintbrush. And I'm trying to keep my line semi-straight, but it does not need to be perfect. We are just going for a glittered snowbank here. All right, I know I have enough glitter on this, so I'll go ahead and clean this up. I want to make sure that I get this glitter back into this container because like I said, it's like microfine glitter. And I just want to make sure I don't get this stuck all over my desk. All right, so now I need to stamp a sentiment on here. Now remember, I had just set this aside to dry. So before I actually get ready to stamp my sentiment, I do want to test this just to make sure it's dry. And as you can see, none of the embossing powder is sticking, so we are good to go. All right, so I'm going to bring in my mini Misty here and I'm going to set my ornament in. Now, obviously this is a round shape. So for my guidance, I'm just trying to keep the little opening at the top where the little center is for me to run my string. I'm just trying to make sure that that's lined up straight. So pointing directly up. Now there are several sentiments in here, so I'm just going to use the warm wishes since this is a more of a sunset kind of ornament. I felt like that would make a great sentiment. Now, if you did not want to heat emboss this, you can just go ahead and stamp this down in black ink if you wanted to, but I felt like a little bit of white heat embossing would be great. I'm just measuring that up to make sure that I have it in the right place so it is not blocked when I put my greenery around it. So as you can see, that was a sneak peek to the color that I'm going to use for my greenery. Again, my greenery would have been a shade of green, but I chose to go a little bit different. Again, stretching my color palette here. So once I have that lined up, I'm just going to use some Hero Art pigment ink. This is a unicorn white. I showed this in a video before that if you stamp with pigment ink, especially a white pigment ink, to me, you're going to get better results of when you go to heat emboss in white. So I went ahead and stamped that down. Once I am going to stamp it one more time. Now, pigment ink does take a little bit longer to dry, which is going to help me. That's going to be a benefit right now. It's going to allow me time to put on that embossing powder. And as you can see, I'm not pressing too hard on this. I'm just doing light taps on the sentiment because I don't want that sentiment to bloom. And when I say bloom, when you push too hard on delicate sentiments, it makes them just look like they were squished or like whiter. So when you're using sentiments that might be a little bit finer, just make sure to tap on the sentiment. So you can already see how white that Warm Wishes is already. And that's because I used the pigment ink first. I'll go ahead and make sure my heat gun is nice and hot before I bring it to my tag. I like to heat from the front and the back, and look how white that sentiment is. Just a little tip for you guys. Okay, I'll go ahead and get rid of my embossing powder, get that out of the way, and then we can go ahead and start putting this tag together. All right, so for my trees, I decided to do charcoal cardstock by Hero Arts. This is a new gray and I'm absolutely in love with it. I did decide as well on these to double stack them, again, just to give me a little bit height. So I'm going to use my precision glue there, go ahead and stack this one up. And I'm so sorry I'm off camera. I had adjusted the placement of my camera and I did not realize that I was not totally in the space that was required for this. So I apologize for that. So I'm going to go back and get my hill, and this is nice and dry. Remember, we have that glittery top to a little snowbank here. And that snowbank is going to cover up just the bottom piece where that yellow faded out. And I think this would be really pretty even if you didn't use the snowbank and you just masked off that area and just left it white. I think that would be pretty as well. But since we have the snowbank already in the kit, we might as well use it, right? So go ahead and tap that into place. And very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and put my trees on because I realized as soon as I put down the snowbank that I had put glue at the very top where that rim is. And I want to slide down two of those trees to kind of tuck nicely behind my snowbank. Now there's also some deers that you can use instead of the tree. There's also a little church. You can have little snowflakes, totally up to you. But I thought the trees in this charcoal gray will look so pretty with this warm background. So I do like to do numbers of threes for this. The trees are, I believe this was the medium size of the trees. So I wanted to just make sure to have a cluster of three. And again, I'm making sure to stay below that sentiment. Now for this one here, I'm only going to glue the portion on the snowbank because it's really, if I try to glue the top part of it, it's going to be a little bit off. So I just decided to glue right at the bottom, and that really gives my card a little bit of dimension. See, if I were to try to push down, it would distort my tree. All right, so let's go ahead and start putting this together. So here I have my little greenery pieces, and I'm going to do one at the top and one at the bottom to kind of frame in my ornament. So I went ahead and I die cut this here 3 times because I need to fill in around the edges. And if I just cut one right in the middle, I'll have enough to go all the way around my ornament. So all I need to do at this point is to add some glue and get these into place. Alrighty, I already set my bottom one. I'm working on my top one, and I'm making sure to keep the hole open where I need to run my string to hang my ornament. I don't want to have that blocked. So now is the point that I can just take this third one and really close up that circle. So I'm just searching for my scissors here, and then I can go ahead and trim this in half. And again, this is going to help finish off the greenery around here. So as you can see, that really fills that in nicely. And if you do not want it to overlap, I would suggest once you get it in place, just grab yourself some scissors and trim off any of the excess. All right, I'm going to tuck this one in here. And like I said, if you don't want any of it to overlap and you want to just make it seem like it's a seamless greenery around, just grab yourself some scissors and just kind of snip off where the two pieces meet up. And this way your greenery just looks like it's one continuous piece. Now, again, you don't have to do this. You can totally have the greenery overlap. Just my preference for today's tag. Now look how gorgeous this tag came out. Very warm colors with that beautiful gray. And this makes a great color combination. All right, so I went ahead and I grabbed myself some twine. This is some yellow twine that I just had in my stash. And I'll go ahead and start looping this through my ornament. I want to say thank you for everybody who continues to watch my videos. I greatly appreciate you. And to my new followers, welcome, welcome. I've been doing this card series now since 2015, I believe. And each year I'm more and more inspired by products that I receive, but also by being inspired by you as well. So I just want to give everybody a shout out that's out here making cards and doing their best and sharing your creativity with the world. All right, I went ahead and I knotted this through. I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors. Now I left a pretty long tail on here, and I intentionally did that so that I can trim the top part off, and then I'm just going to go ahead and tie these together and make a double bow that I can put right at the top of my ornament. Now, once I get that bow as tight as I want it, look how cute that is. And it's going to frame off the top of this ornament beautifully. I'm just going to grab a little bit of glue. Now, if you don't want to use glue, you can use one of the really micro glue dots as well in order to hold little bows like this into place. So go ahead and lift that up. Make sure I get it on straight. And instead of me having to hold this, I'm just going to use my Hero Arch tweezers to hold that in place until it's dry. All right, once this is dry, I can go ahead and start adding some other elements. I decided I want to bring in a white gel pen to add a little bit of snow to our trees. But there's also another reason why I'm using this white gel pen. So I could just leave it like this and go ahead and put my little marks in there and it would look like snow. But if you wanted to add sparkle on top of this and you're using glue, I would just suggest doing this one little step of adding in that white filler as a buffer between your cardstock and the glue, and it will make your sparkle just a little bit more because it's not competing with the dark color. It has that white, which is going to kind of reflect it and make it look a little bit more sparkly. So at this point, I did come in with my Barely Arts glue because it has a thinner nozzle. And I just went ahead and traced right along those same lines that I made with the white Jelly Roll pen. Now I can go ahead and grab my piece of paper again and see how handy those tweezers come in. By just holding that in place, I have my hands free to do other things. Now, if I was smart, I would have probably put the glitter on before I stuck all of this down to the card, but it was kind of an afterthought once I saw that the trees just needed a little bit more light. So I did grab a little spoon, and that's going to help me kind of keep the glitter in place and it doesn't go all over my card. Now, if you don't have one of these spoons, rather, you can just really pinch it between your fingers. But I think I picked up these little mini sampler spoons off of Amazon years ago, and I just still have a bunch of them in my stash. So it kind of helps me kind of control where I'm placing my glitter at this point because I didn't choose to put the glitter on the trees beforehand. All right, now I can go ahead and knock that off. And we have a beautiful tag. Now, right on the back, you can see it's just white, so you can write your little message on the back. All right, everybody, that is day one of the holiday card series for 2022. I will see you in day two rather, shortly. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you back here soon. Bye-bye, everybody.